There is a category that nobody talks about but everyone understands. It is the category of the person who is everything, who knows your coffee order and your worst fear and the exact pitch of your laugh when something is genuinely funny versus when you are laughing to be polite. The person who shows up without being asked and stays without being told. The person whose name appears in your phone and makes something in you settle. The way a door settling into its frame settles. The way a thing finding its right place settles. The category is called friend. And it is, for the person on the other side of it, the most precise and particular kind of heartbreak in the human experience. Not because anything was done wrong. Not because anyone was cruel. But because the category itself is a closed door with a very specific lock, and the person on the wrong side of it can see perfectly through the glass. Joel Hartley had been in this category for 3 years before he fully understood what category it was. He met Stephanie Voss at a graduate school orientation at the University of Colorado in Boulder. On a Tuesday in late August when the air had that specific quality it gets in Colorado in late summer, clear and thin and slightly electric, the kind of air that makes everything feel like it is about to begin. They had been placed at the same small table for an icebreaker activity that both of them found immediately excruciating, and their shared excruciating of it had been the first thing between them. The exchanged glance across the table that said we are both too old for this, followed by his comment afterward and her laugh, which was quick and real, and the kind of laugh that made you want to say another thing. They were both in the communications program. They had 2 classes together the first semester. By October, they were studying together 3 times a week, and by November, they were the kind of friends who texted about things that had nothing to do with communications.
Joel fell in love with her in December.
He would not know this is what it was until March, when he heard her describe a man she had gone on 2 dates with as really interesting, and felt something in his chest that was not quite pain but was adjacent to pain and had no innocent explanation. He filed this information and did not act on it. Stephanie was the kind of person who was easy to love and difficult to categorize. She was warm with everyone, not performatively warm, not the warmth of a person working at it, but the natural warmth of someone who was genuinely interested in the people in front of her. She remembered things. She asked the second question, then the third. She brought people food when they were stressed and sent articles she thought you would care about and showed up to things that required showing up to. The result of this was that everyone around Stephanie felt specifically seen by her, which was both her genuine quality and the thing that made it difficult, for a while, to understand what her warmth toward Joel specifically meant. It meant something to him. He could not immediately determine whether it meant something different to her. What he learned, gradually and then completely, was that Stephanie had a specific way of loving her friends that was so thorough and attentive and real that it occupied the same emotional space that romantic love occupied in other people's lives. She was not someone who had friends and then a separate category of deeper connection. Her friendships were her deepest connections. She invested in them with everything she had. Joel was her best friend. This was a real thing, a true thing, a thing she said out loud to him and to other people and meant completely. He was her favorite person to talk to. Her first call, the one she wanted at every dinner table and on every road trip and in every room where something important was happening. In the category of friends. Only. He knew because he paid attention. And paying attention eventually produces knowledge even when you would prefer not to have it. He knew because she talked to him about the men she dated, not as an afterthought, not as a secondary topic but as a primary subject, with the specific openness she brought to everything she trusted him with. She described first dates and second dates, and the particular qualities of men she was drawn to, and Joel listened with the practiced attention of a man who had decided that being trusted with this was better than not being trusted with anything. He knew because of the night her graduate school boyfriend, a man named Derek, who Joel had assessed accurately and disliked precisely, ended things badly, and she cried on Joel's couch for 2 hours, and at the end she said, "I don't know what I would do without you." She meant it as the truest thing she could say. He received it as a thing that was true and also the specific shape of the problem. He knew because one evening she said, unprompted, that he was her favorite person, and he felt something lift in him for exactly 3 seconds before she added, "You know that, right? Like genuinely my favorite person in my life," and the way she said it, with the ease and completeness of a person, describing a thing that was fully settled and required no further examination, told him everything the sentence itself did not say. He was her favorite person in the category of friends. Only. The category was settled. She was not confused about it. She was not secretly feeling something she wasn't saying. She knew exactly what she felt, and she felt it fully, and it was friendship, and it was the most complete friendship she had, and that was the entire shape of the thing. Joel spent 6 months deciding what to do with this. He had options. He understood his options. He could say nothing and continue as he was, which was functional and sometimes wonderful, and also required him to quietly carry something heavy in a space she could not see. He could say something and risk changing the category entirely, not into what he wanted probably, but into something altered and self-conscious, and no longer the easy thing it had been. He could create distance, which was the coward's option and also genuinely available to him, and which he considered more seriously than he liked to admit. What he could not do, he understood, was continue indefinitely without deciding. The indefinite continuation was its own slow cost, and he was too honest with himself to pretend otherwise. He chose to say something, not because he expected it to change anything. He had paid too much attention to expect that, but because he was tired of being the only one who knew, and because he respected both of them enough to tell the truth, and because whatever happened after would at least be a real thing he had done rather than a silence he had maintained. He told her on a Sunday afternoon in April, in the courtyard of the coffee shop they went to every Sunday, in the specific outdoor light of a Colorado spring afternoon when everything is starting to bloom and the air still has the faint memory of winter in it. He said, "I need to tell you something, and I need you to know I've thought about it, and I'm not saying it because I expect anything from it. I'm saying it because I think you should know." Stephanie put down her coffee. She looked at him with the full attention she gave everything, which was the specific quality of her that had gotten him here in the first place. He said, "I've been in love with you for about 2 years. I know where I am in your life, and I'm not asking you to feel something you don't feel. I just couldn't keep being the only one who knew." The courtyard was quiet in the specific way. Outdoor spaces get quiet when something is happening inside them. Stephanie looked at him for a long moment. Her expression was not the expression of a woman who was surprised by a revelation she had been secretly feeling herself. It was the expression of a woman who had heard something true and was sitting with the full weight of it. She said, "Joel." He said, "I know." She said, "I love you. You know that." "I know," he said. "I know what kind." She was quiet again. "Then I'm sorry. I know that doesn't help." "It helps a little," he said, which was true. She reached across the table and took his hand, which was the most Stephanie thing she could have done, warm and direct and completely without pretense. She held it and looked at him and said, "You are my favorite person. That is real." "I know it's real," he said. "That's kind of the whole thing." She almost smiled. He almost smiled. The almost smiles were somehow the most honest moment in the whole conversation. Things changed and didn't change in the way that things do after a true thing is said. Between people who are fundamentally good, there was a period of careful distance, not decided, not discussed, just the natural recalibration of two people who have had a real conversation and need time to find the new shape of things. A few weeks where the texts were slightly less frequent and the Sunday coffee happened once instead of every week. Joel used the time to do what he should have done earlier, which was invest in his life in the places he had been neglecting while carrying something heavy in a space he couldn't see. He called his brother more. He took a trip to New Mexico he had been putting off. He slept better than he had in 6 months, which surprised him and then didn't. There is a specific relief in no longer keeping a secret, even a secret that answers nothing. By June, things had found their new shape. The Sunday coffees came back. The texts came back. Something between them was different. Not worse, actually, but more honest. The way a room with the windows opened is different from the same room with them closed. He knew what he had told her. She knew what she had heard. They had both been real and neither of them had flinched. And what was between them had survived it. He did not stop loving her. He did not pretend to, but he stopped carrying it as a secret, which changed its weight significantly. In September of the following year, Joel met a woman named Rachel at a conference in Denver. She was a researcher, originally from Portland, with the specific directness of a person who had learned early that saying the true thing saved everyone time. On their second date, she told him she liked him and was not interested in anything unclear, which he found so refreshing he laughed out loud, and she laughed too, and something started. He told Stephanie about Rachel the following Sunday. He told her first, which was the right order, and he knew it. Stephanie's expression, when he told her, was the expression he would remember longest from that whole year. Not complicated, not conflicted, just genuinely glad. The specific gladness of a person who loves someone and wants real things for them. She said, "Tell me everything." He told her everything. Outside the coffee shop, Boulder was doing what Boulder did in September, clear and thin and slightly electric, the air that had been between them at the very beginning, before either of them knew what the other would become in their life. He was her favorite person. She was still one of his. The categories had settled into something that was true and bearable and even, on a good day, something close to exactly right. Not every love becomes what you wanted it to be. Some loves become something better, something that lasts, something that holds, something that calls you on a Sunday morning because you are their favorite person, and that is the whole true shape of it. Joel Hartley had spent 3 years on the wrong side of a closed door. On a September Sunday, coffee in hand, his favorite person across the table, the woman he was falling in love with a text away, he understood that the door had been exactly right all along. He just hadn't been able to see it from where he had been standing. He could see it now.